Hey planting friend, I hope you're having the best day ever. Today I'm going to do some plant flexing and show you my Hoya Splash collection. So let's get right into it. The first one here, which is my favorite one at the moment, is a Hoya Hawaiian Splash. It has these gorgeous elongated leaves, but the best part about this plant is this one here has pink variegation on it. And that's because this plant has been sun stressed, so it's actually turned out pink, which I absolutely adore because I love pink after my favorite color, which is purple. And it's massive. It's got these huge new growth here, all these long vines, and even at the top here, it has these massive long vines, which hopefully it will grow some leaves very shortly, maybe in spring. It's winter in Melbourne at the moment, so it's probably not going to grow leaves in winter, but I absolutely adore it. And I plan to propagate it maybe in springtime. I actually have two types of this plant. Well, actually just two types. So the first one here is this one here, which is the pink variegation, and also have this baby one here, which has silver variegation on it. And I think it's because more the fact that this one here hasn't been exposed to as much sunlight, so the actual leaves are more silvery splash compared to this one here, which is more of a pink splash. Next Hoya I have is this super adorable Hoya Kerri Splash. This is the latest Hoya I purchased. I love the fact that it has silver variegation on the leaves. And this one, the leaf here is super splashy. So you can see there's a lot of silver on the leaves. Compared to the newer ones, these leaves here are more, I would say, half variegation, where half the leaves are kind of more green and the other half has silver variegation on it. And this plant here has actually gone down in price in Melbourne. I originally saw it for $100 in this small pot. Then it went down to 75 and now it went down to 50. So it went into my budget range and so I purchased it. I absolutely love Hoya Kerri because of the heart-shaped leaves. This one here is the normal Hoya Kerri with very silver. Really, it's completely green, and that's the splash. So if I hold it together, you can actually see the difference between the two plants there. I absolutely adore both. I'm collecting different types of Hoya Kerri, and so far this is the newest one and it's absolutely adorable. I plan to put it in more a sunny spot just so that I can make sure that the variegation continues. But I love them both. They're so cute. The next one here is called a Hoya Obavata Splash, and once again it's called a splash because there's silver speckles on the leaves there. I absolutely adore Hoya Obavata because of the rounded fat sort of leaves there. The leaves are quite huge, especially look at this one, that's massive. And I love this silver variegation on this plant here. I have a few around the home, but I think this one here is my favorite, mainly because of this leaf here. I absolutely adore it. And holding it up against to the normal Obavata, you can really tell the difference in variegation between the two leaves there. But I absolutely adore both of them because of the rounded leaves. This one here in the normal Obavata, of course, has a little bit of silvering, but not that much. But you can tell the difference, like really, when they say splash, it's really heaps of splash on these leaves. And this plant here cost me $50, which has also come down in price in Melbourne. It's meant to be a super hardy plant, which I do find it's easy to take care of. And this one here, it has about 3 plants in the pot, and that's why it was looking so full and lush. And hopefully in the future I can propagate this plant, but for now I adore the way it is, so I'm going to leave it for now. This next little cutie is called a Hoya Hindu Rope, otherwise known as the Indian rope. This is the splash sort of version. I find that the silver variegation on these leaves is more looking like speckles or dots compared to like streaks of silver variegation. And I absolutely adore Hindu rope, more because of the fact that the leaves tend to be curly, tend to be more twisted, and the actual chain or the stem of the plant can grow to up to 1 meter. And you'll find that once it grows up to 1 meter, they kind of look like rope, and that's probably why they're called the Hindu or the Indian rope. And this one here is my baby one. I only have one, and this one here cost me $35, so they're relatively expensive compared to the size of the plant at the moment. They will come down in price, but I'm impatient. I could not wait. So I had to buy it. So this is my baby one here. And my other plant, my Hindu Rope, my non-variegated one or non-splash one is massive. That plant there is more like a 4-year-old plant, and I have propagated before. So if you want to know how to propagate a Hoya Hindu Rope, I'll pop a link down below and a link above as well. This attractive plant here is called a Hoya species pink splash, and the variegation can be very random. You can actually get ones that are very splashy, very silvery on the leaves. Then you can have ones that hardly have any silver. I can't seem to work out the reason. Maybe it depends on the light. Maybe the more light the plant receives, the more variegation or silvering on the leaves, or sometimes maybe it's just random. I'm not sure, but I love the fact that the leaves are massive. I'm a big fan of plants that have massive leaves. Well, I really shouldn't say that because I'm also a fan of plants that have small leaves. But this one here, super adorable, super easy to take care of, no special treatment required. I've just shown you this one here, which is the Hoya species pink, but the non-splash version. You can see that it does have a few speckling of silver on the leaves, but definitely not as much as the silver speculation, or the silver splash, I should say. I absolutely adore both. Both of them cost me $35, and it's part of my Hoya collection now. So I plan to collect a lot of Hoyas in the next year. I had to give away some of my plants just to create space for these Hoyas, but I think I made the right choice because I think really Hoyas suit me and the way I take care of my plants. So these ones here are Hoya species pink, the splash sort of version, and this one here, the normal green sort of version of the plant. This little cutie here is called a Hoya Snowball splash version, and this one here is in the Carnosa family, and you can see the leaves are very pointed, and that's one of the things I love about this plant. This one here is the normal Hoya Snowball, which has a little bit of silver speckles on it, but you can see this one here has more silver flecks on the leaves, which I absolutely adore. This one here cost me $35. It's a relatively new plant in Australia, in the Hoya sort of range, and so it's still relatively expensive, where the one that's just a normal Hoya Snowball is $25. But both of them are super adorable, super cute, pointed sort of edges of the leaves, very lovely. This wonderful trailing Hoya is called a Hoya Matilde Splash. Absolutely adore this plant because of the tiny little rounded leaves, and the speckles are silver on the leaves. This one here makes a wonderful hanging basket kind of Hoya because of the fact that it trails. And if I bring it up to my other Hoya, which is a Hoya Matilde, you'll be able to tell the difference. So this one here, you can see it's a Hoya Matilde, still has a splash sort of silver variegation, but a lot less compared to the splash variegation. And I love this plant here, so that's why I've actually got a few around the household. So this plant here cost me $25 from Bunnings, which is the local nursery around my home. And I couldn't decide which one to buy, so I bought a few. But I actually gave away my smaller one, and that's because I just really have no more room in my household to buy any more plants. So I actually ended up giving it away after a long time of thinking about it. But I absolutely adore this plant, and hopefully maybe in spring I might propagate it, or with my other Hoya Matilde Splash I might repot it into one big pot. Not sure what I'm going to do. What would you do? Would you repot in one big pot, or would you start propagating this plant? And that's all the Hoya Matilde Splash I have. If you have any of yours, I'd love to read about in the comment section down below. If you have any questions for me about plant care, I'd love to reply to your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Watch this video here if you enjoyed today's content. Catch you next time. Bye.